When the power went out in the entire town one stormy night, no one believed a tiny candle could make a difference. But sometimes, even the smallest light can defeat the greatest darkness. In a small mountain town, there stood an old clock tower that had seen generations come and go. Inside a little house near the tower lived an elderly man named Jacob, known to all as the keeper of the clock. His job was to make sure the great clock bell rang every hour. Jacob lived alone, with only one companion, a tiny candle named Luma. She was kept on his wooden workbench beside tools, gears, and bits of old wax. Every night, Jacob would light her up and whisper, "It's your light that keeps me company, Luma." One evening, a terrible storm swept through the town. The wind howled, lightning flashed, and soon the entire town lost power. The great clock stopped ticking. Without light, Jacob couldn't fix it. And if the clock stayed silent, the villagers would lose track of time. Jacob tried lighting his lantern, but the wick was soaked. He sighed. "If only I had more light." Luma flickered softly and thought, "Maybe I can help." Jacob chuckled when he saw her tiny flame. "Oh, my little candle, this is too big a job for you. One gust of wind and you'll be gone." But Luma whispered, "Let me try." Jacob smiled sadly and carried her to the dark tower. The stairs creaked as he climbed. Rainwater dripped through cracks in the walls. The wind pushed against the windows, trying to blow the little flame away. Luma trembled, but stayed strong. She knew that without her, Jacob wouldn't be able to see the gears and fix the clock. When they reached the top, Jacob placed her beside the mechanism. Her small light barely reached the gears, but it was enough. With patient hands, Jacob began to repair the clock, guided by her flickering glow. Suddenly, a strong gust burst through the broken window. Luma's flame danced wildly, almost dying out. The darkness swallowed everything. Jacob quickly cupped his hands around her. "Hold on, little one," he whispered. Luma's wax began to melt faster. Every drop that fell was a piece of her strength. But she didn't stop. She thought, "If my light can help him finish, it's worth it." Finally, Jacob tightened the last gear and pulled the lever. Dong! The great clock struck midnight, echoing through the stormy night. The sound reached every home, reminding people that morning would come again. Jacob looked down. Luma's flame had grown small and weak. "You did it," he said softly. "You brought back the light for everyone." As dawn broke, sunlight filled the room. The storm had passed. On the workbench sat the melted remains of the little candle. But her spirit lived on in the bright morning glow. From that day, the villagers placed small candles on their windows whenever storms came, saying, "Even the smallest light can fight the darkest night." True strength doesn't come from size, but from the courage to keep shining when everything around you turns dark. If this story warmed your heart, give it a like, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, and subscribe for more inspiring stories that remind us. Even a single spark of faith can light up the world.